I welcome you all once again to another discussion from the topic spherical mirrors. In the previous video lesson, I told you about the different types of spherical mirrors. We had studied that spherical mirrors are of two types, concave and convex. We had also discussed a couple of important terms related to the construction of spherical mirrors. Today, we shall study about the formation of images by both type of spherical mirrors. To find the position and nature of the image of an object formed by a spherical mirror, whether it is concave or convex, we make a ray diagram. In fact, large number of rays of light from an object falls on the reflecting surface of the mirror because each point on an object acts as a source of light. These rays are then reflected by the mirror and intersect or appear to intersect to form the image of the object. But for our convenience, we consider only two rays out of four special rays while making a ray diagram for locating the image of an object. A question arises, why are these rays of light called special rays? These are called special rays because we are aware of the path followed by these rays of light. This means that after suffering reflection from the spherical mirrors, we know what should be the path followed by the reflected light. So these are four in number, and as I told you, we shall be considering only two out of these four special rays. So let us begin today's discussion by understanding what are these special rays. Beginning with the first one, an incident ray of light parallel to the principal axis. Now, whenever we are drawing ray diagrams, it is very important to make use of a scale because we need to draw straight lines. Let me just change the color a little bit. So, a ray of light which is traveling parallel to the principal axis. After suffering reflection, now this is a ray of light, so we need to mark the arrowhead. So after suffering reflection, it passes through the principal focus. So this is how the ray of light will pass. In case of a concave mirror, it actually passes through the focus, but in case of convex mirror, it passes somewhat like this. It appears as if it is coming out of the focus. Now again, being a ray of light, we need to mark an arrowhead in both the cases. So this is the first special ray. Any incident ray of light traveling parallel to the principal axis passes or appears to come out of the principal focus after the reflection from the spherical mirror. This is the first special ray. Let's move to the second one. Again, any ray of light which is passing through the focus or it is directed towards the focus. So in case of a concave mirror, as you can see that it is passing through the focus, but in case of convex mirror, it is directed towards the focus. So how it should pass after suffering reflection? So it is found that after suffering reflection, it becomes parallel to the principal axis. So after reflection, it will pass like this. We need to mark the arrowhead. So this is the second special ray. Incident ray of light passing through the principal focus of a spherical mirror travels parallel to the principal axis after reflection. Coming to the third one. Any ray of light which is passing through the center of curvature or which is directed towards the center of curvature. In case of concave mirror, it is passing through the center of curvature, but in case of convex mirror, it is directed towards the center of curvature. Just let me mark it properly. Yes. So it is found that any ray of light which is passing through the center of curvature or which is directed towards the center of curvature retraces its path after reflection from the mirror. Now when a ray of light passes through the center of curvature and falls on the mirror, then angle of incidence is actually equal to 0, and as per the law of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Therefore, angle of reflection is also equal to 0, and hence the ray of light retraces its path. Now, coming to the fourth one. How does a ray of light travel which is incident obliquely on the mirror at the pole? Somewhat like this. Now in this case, we need to consider the angle of incidence. Now as per the law of reflection is concerned, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So the ray of light gets reflected in such a way that the angle of reflection is exactly equal to the angle of incidence. So this is how reflection will take place in case of a concave mirror. In case of a convex mirror also the same rule will be followed. So any ray of light which is incident obliquely to the principal axis at the pole would get reflected such that angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So these are the four special rays. So the first one, second one, the third one, and the fourth one. So as I told you that out of these four we shall consider any two as per our convenience. So now we will study the formation of image by a concave mirror. The position and nature of images formed by a concave mirror depends upon the position of the object placed in front of the concave mirror. This means we shall be considering different positions for the object and find what is the nature of image formed. So beginning with the first one, when the object is at infinity, this means the object is located at an extremely large distance from the mirror. For any object which is situated at a large distance from the mirror, the ray of light that is coming from that object is traveling parallel to the principal axis. And we know that any ray of light which is traveling parallel to the principal axis after reflection should pass through the focus. So obviously for a parallel beam of light, the rays of light will suffer reflection somewhat like this and they will converge at the focus, and in this situation the image formed will be extremely small in size. It will be real since there is an actual intersection of the reflected rays, and the image will be formed at the focus. The image is real. Real image is always inverted, but since it is point sized, so it doesn't make any sense to write down it is an inverted image. So it is a real image. It is point sized, it is highly diminished, and it is formed at the focus. Let's go to the second situation, when the object is kept beyond the center of curvature. So let us consider an object which is kept beyond the center of curvature and name it A, B. So now we shall consider two special rays. The first one traveling parallel to the principal axis, and the second one passing through the center of curvature. Let's mark the arrowheads. So we know that the ray of light which is traveling parallel to the principal axis should pass through the focus after suffering reflection, and a ray of light which travels through the center of curvature simply retraces its path. So this is how the reflection will take place, and now we can draw the image at the point of intersection of the reflected rays like this. So this is the, let me use a different color so that it becomes clear. So this is the image. So this is the image. Let us name it A dash, B dash. So now we find that the image is real and inverted. It is smaller in size than the object, and third, it is formed between the center of curvature and the focus. Moving over to the third situation, object is at center of curvature. So the object is kept at this position. Let us name it as A, B. So drawing the rays, the first one traveling parallel to the principal axis, passes through the focus after getting reflected. Let's mark the arrowheads. And the second one, which is passing through the focus, becomes parallel to the principal axis after getting reflected. Again, let's mark the arrowheads. So obviously the point of intersection image will be formed. Now I'm just making some space for drawing the image. Center of curvature, and I'm drawing the image right now at the center of curvature since the rays are intersecting. So this is the position. Let me use a different color for drawing the ray. Yes, so this is the image. Let us name it as A dash, B dash. Now we can see that the image is formed at center of curvature. This means the position of object and position of image are same. So the image is real and inverted images of same size as the object, and it is formed at the center of curvature. So these are the properties of the image. Let's switch over to the fourth situation. The object is between center of curvature and principal focus. So this is the object. Let us name it again as A and B. Considering the special rays, the first special ray traveling parallel to the principal axis and passing through the focus after getting reflected. Let's mark the arrowheads. The second special ray traveling through the focus becomes parallel to the principal axis after getting reflected. Now at the point of intersection, we can draw the image. Now let me again make some room for the image to be drawn properly. Okay, so I'm drawing the image. So it is formed at a position slightly outer of the center of curvature. Okay, it is not exactly at the center of curvature, but rather it is somewhat slightly out of it. Yes, this is how the image will be formed. Let us name it as A dash and B dash, and let me mark the center of curvature. This is C. So this is how the image is going to be formed. So now we find that the image is real and inverted, bigger in size, and third, the position, it is formed beyond the center of curvature. So you might have noticed that as the object is coming closer to the mirror, the image is moving farther. Now, in the next situation, the object is at the focus. So let us consider the rays of light. So the first one obviously passing parallel to the principal axis. It goes through the focus, and the second one, let's consider the ray of light which is traveling through the center of curvature. Now we all know that a ray of light which is passing through the center of curvature simply retraces its path. So we can see that these two rays of light are actually traveling parallel to each other, and so they will never intersect, but it is assumed that these two rays will meet at infinity. So, when an object is placed at the principal focus of a concave mirror, the rays of light from the object travel parallel to each other after reflecting from the mirror, and these parallel reflected rays intersect each other at infinity. So, the real and inverted image is formed at infinity. The size of the image is much greater than the size of the object, and a highly magnified image is obtained. So, we can say that the image is real and inverted. It is highly magnified and it is formed at infinity. Let's come to the next situation, when the object is between the pole and the principal focus. So this is the object which is kept between the pole and the principal focus. Let us name it as A and B. Now the first ray of light traveling parallel to the principal axis passes through the focus after suffering reflection. The second ray of light, which is passing through the center of curvature, retraces its path. Now again we find that these two rays of light actually do not meet. So instead we just produce these two rays of light to obtain an apparent intersection, and the point at which there is an apparent intersection of these two reflected rays, a virtual and erect image is formed. So how we are going to do that? We will produce these two rays in the backward direction, somewhat like this, and find the point at which there is an apparent intersection. So we see that this is the position at which there is an apparent intersection. So at this point the virtual image will get formed. So we can draw the virtual image of the object like this, which is formed behind the mirror. Let us name it as A dash, B dash. So now the image formed is virtual and erect. It is big in size than the object, and it is formed behind the mirror. So these are the different positions in which the object can be kept in front of a concave mirror, and accordingly we find that a concave mirror can form both types of images. It can form both real and virtual images, and we have noted that as the object moves towards the concave mirror, the size of the image of the object also changes. Actually it goes on increasing, and from a real image eventually we get a virtual image. We find several applications and uses of a concave mirror. Like concave mirrors are used in several places depending upon the position of the object. We shall see that shortly, but right now let us quickly discuss image formation by a convex mirror. Now in case of a convex mirror, we find that this mirror always forms a virtual image irrespective of the position of the object in front of it. So now let us discuss the situation when the object is at infinity. Now when the object is at infinity, we know that the rays of light is going to be parallel to the principal axis, and any ray of light which is traveling parallel to the principal axis appears to come out of the focus. So the reflected ray of light would be something like this. We should mark the arrowheads because it is the ray of light, and these rays of light will appear to come from the focus. So this is the position at which image is formed. So it is virtual and highly diminished. So when the object is at infinity, the image is formed at focus behind the mirror. It is highly diminished and it is erect and virtual. Now what is the situation when the object is kept anywhere between infinity and pole of the convex mirror? Like for instance, if the object is kept at this particular position, and how the image is going to be formed. Let us consider the two special rays. The one which is traveling obliquely to the principal axis, we know that after reflection it will travel at the same angle as the angle of incidence. And let us consider the second special ray which is traveling parallel to the principal axis, and after suffering reflection it will travel as if coming out of the focus. You can produce it backward and obtain the position. This is focus, and let us also produce this particular reflected ray backward, and at the point of intersection obviously the image is going to be formed, and this is the position at which a virtual image is formed. Let us name the rays, name the object as AB and the image as A dash B dash. So in this case we find that the image is still diminished, it is virtual and erect, and it is formed between pole and focus behind the convex mirror. So this is how image is formed by a convex mirror. So now we are in a position to figure out the basic difference between a convex and a concave mirror, isn't it? We find that convex mirror is a spherical mirror whose reflecting surface is away from the center of the sphere of which the mirror is a part. Concave mirror is a spherical mirror whose reflecting surface is towards the center of the sphere of which the mirror is a part. The second point of difference, focus lies behind the mirror for a convex mirror, but in case of a concave mirror, the focus lies in front of the mirror. Convex mirror is known as a diverging mirror, but concave mirror is a converging mirror. And most importantly, as we discussed today, convex mirror always forms virtual image. Convex mirror always forms virtual, inverted and diminished image, while concave mirror forms different types of images depending on the position of the object. So this is how the difference goes. Now let us quickly study the uses of both type of mirrors. So now we shall focus on that. Concave mirror. Concave mirror finds its application as The mirrors used in automobile headlights, reflecting telescopes, torchlights. It is a very good reflector, and that is why it serves that purpose in searchlights, motor headlights, and torches to produce an intense parallel beam of light. A bulb is placed at the focus of a concave mirror or concave reflecting surface, and the beam of light from the bulb, after reflecting from the concave mirror, goes as a parallel beam. This parallel beam of light illuminates the road ahead of the vehicle. It is used as a shaving and makeup mirror because when an object is placed close to a concave mirror, that is between the pole and focus of the concave mirror, an erect and enlarged image of the object is formed. So it can be used conveniently to see enlarged faces while shaving. Similarly, it can be used for makeup. Concave mirrors are also used in solar cookers because when a parallel beam of sunlight falls on a concave mirror, this beam is brought to the focus of the concave mirror, and as a result, the temperature of an object placed at this focus increases considerably, so the food in the container gets cooked. Concave mirror is also used in hospitals by dentists and ENT specialists to focus light on teeth, nose, eye, and throat to examine these organs. Coming to convex mirror. Convex mirrors are used as rear view or driver's mirror because this mirror forms an erect and diminished image of an object behind the vehicle. Since the image of the object formed is small in size, so the field of view is increased. It means the driver of a vehicle can see the traffic over large area behind his vehicle. So this mirror is also known as driver's mirror. It is also used in street lights because it diverges light over a large area. It is used in big shopping stores because in big shopping stores it is helpful to watch the activities of the customers. This is because field of view of a convex mirror is large and even a single convex mirror can monitor the activities of the customers in large area of the store. So this is all regarding today's video lesson. Thank you.